the Florida House, District 82. The candidates are Mary Higgins, who will be listed on the Democratic line, and the current Florida State Representative, Mary Lynn Magar, who will be listed on the Republican line. We are going to proceed as we did with the last forum with opening statements up to a minute and a half, and going alphabetically, we will start with Ms. Higgins.
Great, thank you. Hi, I'm Mary Higgins. I moved to Martin County about 18 years ago. I was a single mother with 3 young boys, and I was looking for a better life for my family, and I got that here. I got it through a SHIP loan that I got for down payment assistance on the house that I still live in today. My children benefited from the wonderful education they got in the Martin County Public Schools, and we also benefited from the recreational opportunities that we have here. It's been great. The children are grown. I'm a grandmother now, and it's time for me to give back to this community that's given so much to me. For a living, I'm a case manager for people with disabilities. What I do is my best job to solve their problems using the least amount of taxpayers' dollars. I'm not a politician. I don't have a voting record. This is my first race. But what I do bring to the table is that skill. And that skill is I know how to solve people's problems using the least amount of taxpayers' dollars. I think that will serve well for the people of District 82. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Magar?
Good evening. My name is Mary Lynn Magar, and 2 years ago, I sat here never having run for office before. Like you, like many of you, I was frustrated with government at all levels. I had friends, family, neighbors that were out of work, couldn't find enough work, were cutting back, were struggling. I said, this is not what government needs to be. I want to be part of government to work on economic development and job opportunities. And for the past 2 years, I have done that, carrying legislation that expands our opportunities here in the state of Florida. And I will continue to champion those issues for families and small business.
Thank you. We're now going to have our first question from the panelists.
What are your reasons for seeking this office?
What are your reasons for seeking this office? Ms. Magar.
Well, like I stated, I was frustrated with the way government was being run at all different levels. I felt like we needed to put people in government like me, people that will work hard, people that have worked hard, people that know how to run a business, people that know how to start a business, and people that know family issues.
Thank you. Ms. Higgins.
My reason for running is pretty simple. I want to represent the people of District 82 and not the special interests. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2, question from the panel.
On what issues should the House focus in the coming year? On what issues should the House focus in the coming year?
Ms. Higgins.
Well, I think a really important issue right now is accepting Medicaid expansion, healthcare expansion. I think that we need to do it for several different reasons. I think we need to do it because we need to ensure over 1 million of our working poor here in Florida. I think we should do it because it'll be a job creator. And I think we should do it also because it'll offset some of the reimbursement costs, the reimbursement amounts that were reduced by the Affordable Care Act. I think we need healthcare expansion in Florida to make this work. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Magar.
I think we need to keep focusing on the families and what the family dream is here in Florida. For most people, that means having a good job, getting a great education for their children, being able to live affordably in the state, and save a little bit extra for retirement. So I will continue to focus on job opportunity and growth, educating our children in those jobs that we are trying to expand here in Florida with STEM programs, science, technology, math.
Thank you. Next question?
On what issues should the House focus in the coming year? On what issues? Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, I apologize. What legislation do you view as the most important to residents of this district?
Ms. Magar.
I think that is a similar question to the one just answered, in that it is jobs. We have to make sure that we are diversifying our economy. Tourism, construction, they've always been here in Florida. And we need to make sure that we protect our natural resources in order to shore up the tourism industry. We need to take a look at growth and licensing, permitting, so we can shore up the construction industry. But we also need to realize that we have the opportunity to grow the biomedical industry, aerospace, manufacturing, and that's what I'd like to see us focus on.
Thank you. Ms. Higgins.
You know, I don't think that it's the government's job to create jobs, but I think there's things that the government can do to create a better climate. I think that cleaning up our environment here in Martin County is a big part of that. If we're going to bring ecotourism into Martin County, we're going to have something for people to come for. And our lagoon here is one of the biggest employers in Martin County too. So that's a big issue for me. When we accept healthcare expansion, that will also bring in jobs. I got a figure on it, but I'm not going to quote it, but it was quite large. And the other thing that we need to do is we need to fund our public schools so that we're producing a well-educated workforce, because that's going to help us with jobs here in Florida too. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question, please.
On which committees would you like to serve and why?
On which committees? Ms. Higgins.
I'm sorry. You know, I'm a social worker. I've spent my whole career in the social services, and so I think I need to be involved in health and human services. I think that's where I'll bring my skill set, and I think my skill set is needed in Tallahassee. Another place that I'm very interested in is education. I believe that we need to fund our public schools at a level that, you know, right now we're at, accounting for inflation, we're at 85% of 2007. I think our public schools need to be funded at an appropriate rate for 2014. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple questions from the audience. The first one, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Magar.
Okay. And this was on what committees?
Yes,
Okay.
and why?
Which committees would you like to serve and why?
The past 2 years, I've had the opportunity to serve on several healthcare committees, including special committees on healthcare workforce and the special committee on the Affordable Care Act, PPACA. I was appointed by the Speaker last year as Vice Chairman of Healthcare Appropriations. I believe, as Senator Negron spoke, that we can make all the policy that we want, but we have to properly fund it. And healthcare in this state takes up about 40% of our statewide budget. So I'd like to continue to work along those paths.
Thank you. The next question is from the audience, and the question is, what are your connections with the people of Martin County? What are your connections with the people of Martin County? And Ms. Magar, you were going first.
Okay. I've been a resident of Martin County for 20-some years, and from day one that I moved here, I knew that this was the only place I wanted to be. And since moving here, I've had the whole rest of my family move here to Martin County. Aunts, uncles, parents, brothers, they're all here. Back, I guess in the 90s, became involved with the Republican Party and have always worked for other candidates here in Martin County. I'm also extremely involved in my church in Tequesta, and I have a daughter. So, of course, I've been involved with her school, and she plays travel softball here in the Treasure Coast. So we've been every weekend around Martin County and throughout the district, throughout the area, visiting with people and having a great time.
Thank you. Ms. Higgins.
You know, I've lived here for 18 years, and my children went through the public schools here, and were involved in sports as well. So that was, you know, a connection that I had. But here's what I did. I needed to make a better connection with the voters, so I decided I was going to qualify by petition. And the way that I did that, the majority of the petitions that I got signed, I did it door to door. I started back in March going door to door almost every day. And I've continued that. After I qualified by petition, I've continued my knocking on doors in the neighborhoods of District 82. So you may be seeing me. And when I go to the door, I talk about the issues. I talk about what's the most important issue to you, and I can tell you that the voters in District 82 are more concerned about our water quality than anything else. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question from the audience. With respect to access to health care, how would you support nurse practitioners having the ability to write prescriptions? Ms. Higgins. With respect to access to health care.
You know what? I think that, is it true that nurse practitioners can't write prescriptions? Because I thought that they could. I thought that they could write prescriptions. So, you know, I'm fine with that. I've seen a nurse practitioner before.
I just asked the questions. Oh, controlled substances. That wasn't on here. So I guess the question is, would you support having nurse practitioners be able to write prescriptions for controlled substances? Ms. Higgins?
You know what? I'm not going to give an answer on that right now because I haven't thought about that before, and I really think I need to think that through.
Okay,
I'm not going to give
fine.
an answer on that.
Ms. Magar?
You know, I think we have to look at a number of ways to expand healthcare in the state of Florida. And nurse practitioners expanding their role is one of the things that we looked at and researched in the Florida House. And I would be willing to continue to support that. I also would like to see us support telemedicine and to have access to more people via telemedicine as well. I think there's thousands of new ways to access healthcare, expand healthcare, and looking at technology and the workers that we have here in the state is the way to do it.
Thank you. The next question. Could you please explain your position or opinion on casino gaming? And we will start with Ms. Magar.
I'm not a big fan of expanding the casinos. I mean, here in Martin County, we certainly don't want to see our county ruined with a big casino. You know, we had enough talk when we were putting in a water park here, so no casino here.
Thank
I
you.
guess that's it.
Ms. Higgins?
You know, I would be opposed to some giant casino in Martin County. I think that wouldn't work. I really didn't ever have a problem with the strip mall casinos. I didn't think there was anything wrong with that. It's come up one time when I've been talking to voters, and I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, thank you. And another question. Could you please explain your position or opinion about All Aboard Florida? Ms. Higgins.
If you want to see the long version, go on the Florida Not All Aboard website, and you can read that. I'm against All Aboard Florida. I don't think it's of any benefit to us, and I don't think it's of any benefit to us at all. I think it's going to be harmful to us, and I don't think that even a station in Stewart would turn, you know, the sow's ear of All Aboard Florida into a silk purse. I am against All Aboard Florida. Thank you.
Ms. Magar?
I do not support All Aboard Florida. For the past year, as I've been learning about it, it was misrepresented to us initially and continues to be. The more and more we dig into it, the more and more we find out about it. We see it's wrong for our community. We have no benefit for it. As a matter of fact, it harms us quite a bit. And I'm extremely concerned about how it affects our businesses, our boaters on the water, and most importantly, the safety of people trying to get across the tracks to get somewhere, like to a hospital. And the train being stuck across those tracks. It's happened to me. It'll happen to you if that comes through.
Thank you. If there are no other, are there any other questions? Then if there are no other questions, we'll go to closing statements, which you have up to 1.5 minutes. And we will start with you, Ms. Magar.
Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. As many of you know or have heard, back in January, while I was in Tallahassee for committee weeks, I had a stroke. I was unable to move anything on the right side of my body. I couldn't walk. I couldn't tie my shoes. I couldn't comb my hair. When my family and House leadership came to talk to me, I told them, I'll be back in the Florida House on the first day of session. So I came home and checked into Jupiter Medical Center, where I was there for rehabilitation for January and part of February. My goal was to be able to continue my duty to the community. And I worked hard every day. Physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, a little bit of my own mental therapy, and a whole lot of spiritual therapy. I returned to the Florida House with a cane, and I was there for every meeting and for every vote. I tell you this to illustrate my commitment, my dedication, my perseverance to my goals. And my goal is to return to Tallahassee as an effective leader and an advocate for you, the Martin County voters. I ask for your vote on or before November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Higgins.
Well, running for office was not on my bucket list, but I decided that I needed a choice. You know, there's things that I'm really concerned about. I'm really concerned about the environment, and I think we've made some strides. I think we need to continue with the things that we did this year: the Tamiami Trail, the C-44 Reservoir. I think we need to continue to push STEP, but I also think we need to look at the discharges from the agricultural canals. I think we're going to have to take a look at septic to sewer, and most of all, I think we need to buy that land, some of that land, south in the Everglades agricultural area, because we need to do that with state money, and we need to have a flowway south. Accepting healthcare expansion is critical to the health and well-being of the people of Florida, and I would love to see education, public education, funded at an appropriate level. So I know you saw the differences between us today, and I'm really happy I got to be here to show that. And I hope you'll vote for me in honor before November 4th, and I also hope to see you out at Phipps Park when we rally as a community for clean water. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the candidates for attending this evening. It was very informative.